Today's the day. It is finally May 19th, and I am going to run to Target and see if I can snag a copy of the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Alright, we're back, and it's time to start this. Wow, that's pretty! I love forest green. So this is a pretty thick boy compared to the last books. So I'm just gonna see how far I get this afternoon, and I will keep you posted as I go. I can't believe I'm like actually holding this in my hand right now. All right, we're ready to get started. I got my water. I got a blanket. I got my headphones because I cannot read when there's like any noise whatsoever. So I'm gonna be playing some white noise, and let's do this. So it is the next day, it's like late afternoon, and this morning was the Hunger Games like read-in hosted by Jess. I will leave her info down in the description, as well as the live show that was on her channel. That was so much fun. Absolutely loved it. She prepared some like amazing questions about the Hunger Games in general, and it was so fun to hang out and fangirl over the Hunger Games. So that was this morning, and I have since not read anything since I was reading on the live stream. Currently I am on page 130, and it's a time. I think I'm finding it very slow paced, and from what people were saying on the live stream, it like some stuff goes down 30 pages from where I'm at right now, so I'm really excited for that. I am still really enjoying it, but it's slower paced at the beginning, but I think that's to be expected. That's kind of what happens with the Hunger Games books as well, is they take a while to like pick up the pace, but I don't mind that. So there are a couple things that I wanted to talk about really quickly. First of all was last night I stopped right at the chapter where Arachne gets her throat slit, and I was shook. Did not see that coming. So that was hardcore. And since then, the person that Snow said that he worked on that like proposal thing with has since been bitten by a bunch of snakes. That scene was insane. And then going back, can we just talk about how iconic of an entrance Lucy Gray had? Like, I thought that Katniss had like a memorable like reaping thing, you know, of like, oh, she's the one who volunteered for her sister. It's like, oh, well, Lucy's the one who walked up through the crowd and put a snake down someone else's dress. So that was interesting. I'm really liking her character so far. I like that she's like kind of like the songbird. Hello everyone. So it is now Thursday, and the book came out on Tuesday. And I honestly thought I'd be a lot farther along than I am. I am just about to start chapter 12, which is not even halfway through the book yet. This just doesn't have that same like binge read ability as the other Hunger Games books. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I was just expecting to like be so engrossed in this that I couldn't put it down. It is interesting seeing how the games have developed. Like, we have the whole thing of like them in the holding, like the monkey zoo exhibit basically, and then we know that by the time Katniss is a tribute they're put up in this like lavish tower and everything, and the tributes are just treated so much better in a way. I don't want to say better because they're still being put through the Hunger Games, but I guess just their quality of life leading up, like from between when their names were drawn until the Hunger Games starts, it like improved so much by the time Katniss got there. And so that's been really interesting, like seeing how much worse things used to be, I guess. Beginning of chapter 13. Okay, so I think people were worried that this book, like when it was first announced, would make people empathize with Snow, which I wasn't never really worried about because I trusted Suzanne Collins to not do that, because we know that Snow's a bad person, and you can have a villain backstory without causing sympathy. But that does not mean that I wanted them to kiss. I did not need a kissing scene between Lucy and Coriolanus. And I honestly didn't think it would happen. I mean, okay, so I have some theories, which I'm sure by the time I edit this, I'm going to be embarrassed about them. And if you're watching this, you've hopefully already read this, or else I'm spoiling everything for you. So you can laugh at me all you want. But one of my theories about this book was if there is a romance between him and his District 12 tribute, which there obviously is, that... Because somehow, right, there has to be something that flips the switch where he turns into the person we know as President Snow, right? Like, he has inklings of, like, being a shitty person, but, that's definitely escalated by the time we meet him in the original trilogy. So, my guess was that if there was a romance, that Lucy is using that to her advantage, and she's not actually feeling that way towards him, that she's manipulating him and playing her own game against him, and that's why, or that's part of the reason why he, turns so evil. I'm hoping that's the case, because I really don't want, like, a sincere relationship between him and Lucy. So, what a time. Another thing that's interesting about this book is that I really like villains. I love all the evil people for the most part in Harry Potter. There's a lot of like Disney villains that I really like. I love President Coin in Mockingjay, and to an extent like President Snow's cool too. I think it's just different reading a book of like a villain's backstory when there's no like fantasy element to it. I don't think I've really experienced that before. It is just hard because it is more grounded in reality, and the type of villain that President Snow is, because the Hunger Games is not a fantasy. The awful things he's doing, that's not that far-fetched from real life. That entire series is very political, and the fact that the person running the country is willing to put kids through this every year and is such a horrible person, it's different than like Ursula or like even Voldemort, like some villain who where there's like a fantasy element in it. So I think that also makes it very like not fun to read from Coriolanus's perspective, because he's such a shitty person, but he's also a fairly realistic shitty person, you know what I mean? Okay, so I just finished part 2, and oh my god. Okay, so I really didn't think that Lucy was gonna win, and I'm still guessing that she's gonna die before the end of this book, but I didn't think she was gonna win the games. I didn't think she would survive the games. And let me just say, her whole like snake charming thing was really, really cool. I really like that. I like that she was able to win while not being like physically strong, and that's something that Katniss had as well to her advantage, and like some other characters have had that too. Obviously, like Rue had that, Foxface had that, of, you know, being able to do other things and use other skills than just brute force to win, or in the case of the other people I mentioned, like to outlast some people, you know, to outsmart people in different ways. The little part where it was describing her like coming out of the tunnel thing with the bottle of water and like scooping up the water in the bottle and like swirling it around, obviously to put the poison in there, and then dumping it back out, and then like then noticing that there was drones coming with food. Like, I like that whole little like acting component, as if she just forgot to refill it. I really liked the way that ended, and then how she was like keeping the pink snake, like hiding it somewhere for the other guy who was like the third guy left, because Reaper was the one who got poisoned at the very, very end. And I like that he basically died by like the morgue thing that he was making with all the other dead tributes. That was obviously very like symbolic. It might have been Treach who was killed with the snakes. I don't know. That's kind of a problem I have with this, is because it's not first person from Lucy's perspective, it's really hard to keep track of not only the mentors, which aren't that important, I don't think, but it's hard to keep track of the tributes because we don't get Lucy's perspective. So all of the tributes, really, except for Lucy, are kind of just like a wash for me, and that's kind of annoying. I don't know if anyone can relate to that, but I just feel like I didn't know any of them, but they're all dead now anyway, so whatever. Man, this part 2 really ends on like with a bang. So, you know, his tribute wins, and he goes to Dean Highbottom. I'm sorry, what? This bitch is gonna be a peacekeeper? That is some tea. Ooh! I honestly wasn't, like, super loving this book, but, like, right now, with the last, like, 20-ish pages that I just read, I'm vibing with this. Okay, so I just read the first couple pages of part 3 because I had to. And can we just acknowledge the fact that part 3 is called The Peacekeeper? I still can't believe that. They found his dad's initials on the handkerchief that he left in the snake thing. I just feel like that was a really stupid mistake for Snow to make. He's smarter than that, and now he has to, like, you know, publicly justify, like, why he decided to become a peacekeeper so that he doesn't have to, you know, expose himself as a cheater. This book took a very interesting turn. I never would have guessed this. I don't know why I have so many hand movements. I'm sorry. This bitch has to be a peacekeeper for 20 years. I am literally so intrigued. I feel like there's no way he's going to be a peacekeeper for 20 years. There has to be some way he gets out of it. But that's crazy. This makes me really excited for the film adaptation because of the scene of him coming home and like Tigress and his grandma are so excited for him like having his tribute win, and then he's like, actually. Oh my god, so Snow is asked to go to a hanging, and there's a rope hanging from the tree, and it reminds me of the hanging tree, but I don't know if it's the hanging tree because I feel like that was probably older than Snow, like older than this time right now, but I don't know, but I'm excited to find out. Okay. So in the Hanging Tree song, it says, they strung up a man they strung up a man, they say, who murdered 3. This thing says, the crowd fell silent and a peacekeeper read out the list of crimes the condemned Arlo Chance had been convicted of, including the murder of 3 men. Okay, I'm like blanking on the Hanging Tree song now that I'm like actively trying to think about it. But doesn't it say the dead man called out for his love to flee? And it says, instead he heard the voice of the dead man ringing out eerily from the gently swaying corpse. Oh my god, what if... I think this is the Hanging Tree. I was gonna say, what if Lucy is the one who, like, comes up with the song for this? But at least as of right now, we don't know if she's here to see it. So how would she write about it if she wasn't there? That's really cool. That's, like, one of my favorite parts of Mockingjay is the whole Hanging Tree thing in the books and the movies. It's, like, it's so good. Okay, this is an A+ line right here. Coriolanus felt sure he'd spotted his first Mockingjay, and he disliked the thing on sight. I think a large part of the reason why I'm, like, living for part 3 is because of all the references to District 12 and, like, things we know from the original trilogy. Like the fact that Lucy lives in the seam, and I'm wondering, like, there can only be, like, one bakery in District 12, right? He walks past a bakery owned by a beat-faced woman. That has to be the bakery that Peeta's family runs, right? Okay, so here's a line that makes me laugh, and I don't think I've laughed at all in this book so far, because there's nothing really to laugh at, but I enjoy the line that says, maybe he was more of a loner at heart. Coriolanus Snow, more loner than lover. One thing about Billy Tope, he reeked of passionate feelings. Is that what Lucy Gray wanted? Music, passion, liquor, moonlight, and a wild boy who embraced them all? Not a perspiring peacekeeper showing up at her door on a Sunday morning with a split lip and a sagging back of ice. It was the Hanging Tree. Lucy is writing the Hanging Tree. I feel truly honored that Suzanne Collins gave us the backstory for the Hanging Tree, because that is such an iconic part of that series. I'm so happy. So they're back to kissing again, which is disgusting. But it doesn't seem like she's using him, especially because the game's already over. Like, something has to go wrong. I still think she's gonna die before the end of this book. We're finally getting some backstory from Lucy about, like, how exactly the games went for her, like, from her perspective, which is something I think that made part 2 really not engaging, was because she was hiding most of the time, so we didn't actually see, like, what she was doing or anything. So I'm really happy that this section is in here so we can kind of get some backstory. I'm probably gonna finish this chapter and then go to bed. It's really late. I was gonna stop at the end of part 2, but I mean, part 2 literally murdered me, so I had to keep going. Alright, it's Saturday and I have 17 pages left, so I thought I might as well do a little reading montage as I finish this book. Also, look at how cute Cindy is right now. I did, like, flip ahead just to see, because this last chapter is, like, so long, so I just wanted to see, like, how much I had left of it, and so I saw that there was an epilogue, which makes me nervous, just because the Hunger Games epilogue is like so good, and it really like, you know, it does like a jump forward. So I'm wondering if this one's gonna do a jump forward, but I don't know. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's finish this book. It's looking like Lucy ditched Snow, and he found the orange scarf that he gave her on the bushes, and he got bit by a snake. So I have so many questions. I guess I could just shut up and read because they'll be answered for me. My heart is literally pounding right now. Ugh, I'm so stressed. Okay, so the snake bite wasn't venomous. So what if it wasn't a trap and Lucy wasn't trying to kill him? I only have 10 pages left and I have so many questions. Okay. I just have the epilogue left, and I don't know what happened with Lucy. He passed his officer exam, but then he's not becoming an officer. Dr. Gall managed to get him honorable discharge from being a peacekeeper. So now he's going to the university that he wanted, so he got what he wanted, which is really annoying. And I don't know what happened to Lucy, and now I'm like so, like my heart is literally pounding right now. This epilogue I feel like is gonna kill me. Queen Latifah, give me strength. Okay. I have like 3 pages left. So the backstory to the Hunger Games is interesting. The fact that it was kind of like an accident that never should have come to light. I really like that. And it definitely shows that Snow's dad was not a good person either. I finished it. I don't know what to think. I don't know what I'm supposed to think. I definitely need some time to process. I'm kind of sad that there was no closure on Lucy. I get that it like ties into the ballad song thing of, you know, the ghost kind of girl. Yeah, I don't know. It just like I've mentioned a couple times while reading this, how I really thought that Lucy was going to be the big shift that made Coriolanus kind of the President Snow that we know now. And you can see in this epilogue, you know, he poisons somebody and he gets Lucy to use poison in the arena. So there's some, you know, there's some poisoning happening, which we know is his like go-to thing. But I just thought that'd be more prevalent in here. And I think I thought we'd see him go past where this left off. Not necessarily like forward in time, but like have it more set up where it's obvious how he went from getting into the university to becoming President Snow. I feel like there's still a gap there. You know, him experiencing love made him realize that like he doesn't want to feel like that anymore, because it doesn't help him achieve what he wants to achieve, and it makes him feel vulnerable and weak, which I think is interesting. But I think I was just waiting for that shift, because I think we can all agree that Coriolanus Snow from the trilogy is really, really evil. And he didn't feel as evil in this. And I was curious before reading this. I assumed that like Lucy or something in this would be like a huge reason for him to become so evil. But I feel like in terms of like his character and his motivations, there wasn't really that much of a character arc. He started off kind of evil, and then by the end I feel like he's only like a notch or two more evil than he was at the beginning of this book. That's the other thing. We don't know about Tigress. Like, I wanted a lot more info on Tigress, of how she came to look like she does and how she came to hate Snow so much. Maybe I just need more time to think the plot over. I don't know, but what a time. Thank you for watching if you made it this far. It's been a journey, but I'm really glad that I made this vlog, even though it's probably gonna be a really hot mess. I'm glad that I have it to look back on, because this was definitely a book that it was like the book I was excited for of 2020. And Hunger Games is such a huge part of my life. You know, one of my absolute favorite series. So this was really special. So I will be doing a review on this. It'll probably be the next video after this vlog goes up. There's a lot of things that I want to discuss, and a lot of thoughts and feelings I had about like these last 100 pages, but I think I'm just gonna save them for my discussion video, just because I don't want this to get too long, and I feel like my thoughts are very jumbled right now. So I will be like, you know, writing some notes out so that I don't forget anything. And so if you want to know like my more in-depth thoughts about like specific things, because I got a lot to say, that'll be in my discussion video. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Obviously, if you're watching this, you've already read it, or you don't care to read it, because you don't care about spoilers. So if you did read it, let me know what you thought. What did you rate it? And I will see you in my next video. Bye!